Alright, let's talk about this Black Hammer stuff. Let's get on topic, guys. Let's do that. For those who are not watching this on Twitch, it's taken us 2.5 hours to get on topic. But that's fine. That's fine. Because we are going to talk about the Black Hammer organization, per what is available on their website, and some of the stuff on their Twitter. Okay? This is going to be an adventure. This is going to be quite the adventure. All right. So. Now, how often is it that we have to tell conservatives that no, being white isn't a sin? Nobody's saying that being white is a sin. Nobody is arguing that you owe people because you were born white. Like, how many times have you probably had that conversation in some way, shape, or form? It is honestly an exhausting one, and with the amount of times you have to say it, with the frequency at which we have to remind conservatives that no, nobody's saying it's a fucking crime to be white, okay? But as is always the case in the depressing world that we live in this place you and I call home, where only chaos happens, and all we do is try desperately to pull some order out of it. John Childers, speaking of chaos, thank you very much for redeeming your... Oh, whoa! That's going to be in the mod. Okay, so you've probably already read a little bit of this, but let's go ahead and take a look here. This is the Black Hammer organization. What is their mission statement? Let's read this first before we read reparations. Okay? So, they're obviously using a lot of Marxist imagery. They call themselves the symbol of hope for the colonized working class. Normally, this would sound fine, right? And right up my alley. Okay? Their mission statement. Black Hammer organization exists to take the land back for all colonized people worldwide. We are focused on building dual contending power of and for colonized masses under the leadership of colonized poor and working class. Our mission is to use our collective building power to unite, strengthen, and liberate all colonized nations. Currently, our physical and intellectual labor is being coerced to build for the capitalist white colonial state, but it can be redirected to a noble cause. We will organize our labor to be of service to our people. Our symbol, the hammer, represents breaking the chains of colonialism and building a self-determined future for all colonized people. Okay? Now, this sounds okay. This sounds fine on paper. But, as is always the case, there's a dark side to this, and it's real fucking strange. Let's talk about their reparations section. Are you white? Well, that's already off to the bad start. Are you white? Do you want to help? Do you want to be a good person on the right side of history? That sounds manipulative as fuck. But, continuing on, the only way you can wash the blood off of your hands is through the following of leadership of African, indigenous, and colonized people, and paying reparations for all that's been stolen in your name. I don't know if I have to explain this to anybody. I believe in systemic racism. I believe that things like our police department are certainly inundated with problems regarding race. 110%. I believe in intersectionality. I believe that there is an intersection between race and class, and colonized people, as they would be described on this website, largely find themselves in poor working conditions historically. Yep, I agree with all that. Now that I've said all that, and hopefully I've shown my fucking woke card to the person who's gonna crucify me for this, I do not have to wash the blood off of my hands for slavery. Nor does any other white person. Because we didn't fucking do it. Okay? By and large, white people in the United States do not check their privilege. This is true. But we are also not responsible for slavery. Not in any way, shape, or form. Now, it would behoove us to try to make sure that those of us who are in poorer living conditions because of things like generational wealth not being able to pass down when people have not had an opportunity to gain that wealth, it would behoove us to try to make sure that there is some equity. Make sure that things are fairer for those of us who've had worse opportunities in life. And statistically, worse opportunities are generally had by minorities in the United States. I agree with all of that. But this shit, where you tell me that the only way to wash blood off of my hands is through following your individual leadership? This is manipulation? And this is the type of stuff that's used to make a fucking cult. Okay? Okay. Now, I've noticed that I've lost some viewers during this particular portion of the stream. And that's fine, because my opinion here is probably going to upset a few people. But I believe in things like the Black Lives Matter movement. I believe in trying to make sure that we can solve problems of systemic racism in the United States. But we don't do that by taking the words of a fucking cult leader, essentially, and saying that the only way that we can wash blood off of our hands that we never engaged in is through this fucking white guilt shit. This is stupid. Because right now, the Black Hammer organization is offering several ways to pay reparations. Here's another thing. I agree in the concept of reparations. I agree with granting reparations through the government, because the government, as a representative body of the people, has largely been responsible for many issues where minorities are considered in the United States. I think reparations, where they come through, should be given by the government. But apparently, if you become a recruit of the Reparation Corps, make monthly reparation payments, and then contact them to give your skills, possessions, land, etc. as reparations, that will help. What is the Reparation Corps? Do you think white workers and colonized workers are oppressed in the same ways? Do you think we have the same goals? Do you think revolutionary movements should include colonizers? Black Hammer organization wants you to... I like how we're fucking called colonizers. Nobody alive right now in the United States was responsible for colonizing. This is the type of stuff that causes you, as an organization, to become the enemy that was imaginary for conservatives. You are now the real thing. Thank you very much, the only Ziggy Richards, for the follow. Black Hammer organization wants you to join the Reparations Corps to relearn history and find your place in building a world without exploitation. The tuition for the boot camp is the start of paying reparations. This is your way that colonizers, white people, can get involved in changing the world. Make a choice today to get on the right side of history. Now, I understand that it was a funny haha joke in Black Panther when white people who were brought into who were brought into the facilities would be called colonizers. That was funny. I thought it was funny in the movie. But when I see this being used as actual language, this feels like what you do to create an us versus them. Because at what point does the white person stop becoming a colonizer? Likely not. Said weekly boot camp sessions are on Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern. Reparations are paid on a sliding scale. Sessions will be offered via Zoom. Learn the true history of the world which has been hidden from you. This one I agree with. If you've ever read Howard Zinn's A History of the United States, then you'd actually know that, yeah, there is some whitewashing, a lot of whitewashing we do in American history classes. Okay? Thank you very much, Martin of 53 for the follow. That understand why reparations are the key to finding your humanity. This is cult-like behavior here, right here. Understand why giving us money is a key to your individual humanity, and then get on the right side of history. I generally don't have an issue with the use of the phrase get on the right side of history, but when it's used in conjunction with stuff like this, like imagine if I told you as a viewer that the only way that you could make up for all the terrible things that America's done would be by donating to my individual Patreon. If you don't donate to my Patreon right now, or subscribe to me on Twitch right now, you are engaged in exploitation of me and my people. Give me money, or blood is on your hands. Imagine if I did that. Imagine if I did that. Imagine if I actually engaged in that kind of manipulative, scummy, shitty rhetoric. Well, the Black Hammer organization, they can remember that. How to sign up. You can sign up at the Mao level. Ah, yes. Mao Zedong. Definitely not giving me fucking tanky vibes. $190 minimum. Sign up for the entire 8-week bootcamp and get fully certified as someone who is united under colonized leadership. By completing this level, you'll get a chance to provide your skills to the organization and be an active recruiter to make sure that other people are continuing to pay reparations. Now, hold on a second. Hold on. I got a question, guys. I got a question. What other kind of organization asks you to pay money into it so that you can get trained to be a recruiter for them? Can anybody in the chat answer? Oh, wow. Walking trash can. You got it in one. This is a fucking pyramid scheme. This is multi-level marketing, but it is so fucking predatory. Because instead of it, with multi-level marketing, you convince somebody that they are going, and multi-level marketing is a pyramid scheme for those who don't know, but you convince somebody that they need to become their own boss of their own business, and they pay into your scheme to get the stuff that they need to start their own business, but then they can recruit for their own business so that they can get more people, so that they have to do less work later on down the road, and the more people they recruit for the company, the better, because it just makes the company a shit ton of money. It's a giant pyramid scheme when it's framed that way. For this, instead of gaining money and being able to create your own business, what's being sold to you is your conscience. Your conscience is being sold to you. Jiminy Cricket is being delivered to you on a silver platter, but you have to pay $200 for it. I mean, yes, there are other levels in here. We'll look at those in just a second. But this is basically saying that if you do not engage in this, then blood of indigenous and colonized people is on your hands. This is a cult engaging in multi-level marketing schemes. Now, am I going to run the entire thing through the bite model right now? No, because I got other stuff to cover here. But if anybody has any more experience with this organization and wants to give me some things that they have done, we can definitely try to do a bite model test with them. But I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that I do believe this is a fucking cult. Now, they have a 4-week boot camp at Sacra level. You won't be able to contribute to the organization at this level. Yes, you are. You are literally contributing to the organization. $99 is being used to contribute to the organization. Don't even fucking lie on your website. You won't be able to contribute to the organization on this level, but you will still receive valuable skills necessary to help advance anti-colonialism and organize people to return and liberate the land of colonized people around the world. Wait a minute. Return and liberate the land of colonized people around the world? Huh. That sounds almost like a call for violence. I have a question, guys. Let's take where I'm living right now, in the middle of Georgia. I own my home. I have had to fight quite a long time to actually be able to engage in home ownership. A decade of my life of trying to scrounge and hopefully one day be able to own a home. I'm here owning my home now. What happens if this place that I own, that is mine, that I have worked for, what happens if this area is liberated? How would it be liberated? Yeah, this is very military multi-level marketing scheme. How would one, please just tell me honestly, how would one liberate the land from under my feet that I'm living on right now? Yeah, this is the literal. They literally want white people gone at this point. But not all white people, not if you pay them a lot of money. If you pay them a lot of money, they want you here. At the $40 level, you can sign up for a single session of the boot camp and get a view of the experience and work it takes in order to disunite with your people's worldwide acts of genocide and terror. Take that first step into creating a world where no one lives at the expense of another and shows others what you have. It takes material, not just ideological differences in the lives of others. Okay, so I want to create a world where people don't have to live off of the expense of another, but I think that happens when we democratize workplaces, largely. Not when we pay $40 into a militarized organization trying to prey on people. Oh, there's a group price, too! Does your organization, company, or activist group of friends want to pay reparations and learn about anti-colonialism or anti-racism in the world and workplace? Contact us directly at reparationscorps at protonmail.com for pricing options. And then it has justifications in here going down forward. Now, I will say that the logic that yes, there are people who are severely disenfranchised by the imperialistic efforts of the United States, and we need to find ways of helping those people. Agreed. Those ways are not militarizing a cult. Now, is it anti-racism? They're talking about genocide? Hold on, am I missing something? Yeah, so here's the thing. They're going to pull the anti-racism thing, and when I point out that anti-racism is merely being against other people being racist and trying to remove racism from society by changing the social zeitgeist, then there are people like this who I have to unironically look at the conservatives and go, yeah, these guys are literally what you're talking about. Your boogeyman exists. It's right here. Now, let's take a look at their leader, Ghazi, for just a second. This is a single video. It is not wholly representative of everything that he is, says, or believes, but based on the stuff on this website, maybe this will make a little bit of sense. Okay? Hi, Ghazi. Let's go.
Hello, Antifa. It's me, Ghazi, the Commander-in-Chief of the Black Hammer Organization. Land back? Land back! Land back? Land back! I heard you had some not-so-nice things to say about me.
Of course Antifa would have bad things to say about an ethno-fascist.
I heard you had so nice things to say about my hammers. I heard you had not so nice things to do to one of my members, one of my dear, dear members. An African Filipino mother that you doxed and thought you could get away with it, thought we were gonna back down, thought we were gonna take it. No, that's not gonna happen. You messed with the wrong one this time. Hello, Antifa.
Okay, so who's gonna say it? Who's gonna be the first one in the chat to say it? Which one of you fuckers wants to say we live in a society? Somebody's gonna say it, I swear to God. Alright. What's my opinions of this? I do not think these are the actions of a mentally well individual. I do not think these are the actions of a natural-born leader. I don't think these are the actions of an individual who should be heading a cult. Yes, when the society is sus. Now, what's some other issues that I have with this group? So they seem to believe that everybody who is white, in a very broad stroke, is a colonizer. Now, this includes Jewish people, which unfortunately leads them into anti-Semitism. And now, if you don't believe me on that one, boy, do I have a tweet for you. Blackhammer Times. Thanks to all of you, Blackhammer has successfully liberated 200 acres of land to build our city. For colonized people only. We're going to get to this one in a second. We are located high up in the mountains, 1,000 feet in the air, with rich soil. We have 1 lake and 3 rivers on the land. First of all, this does not look like rich soil. These are not the kind of plants you generally see growing in rich soil. These are generally the plants you see growing in arid locations where it is incredibly hard to plant anything that's not a potato. They are responded to by a person named Rachel. Didn't you guys call Anne Frank a colonizer? Now, I wish I could find the original point where they said this. But don't worry. We don't have to go looking for it. It's right here. Oh, apparently the land that they bought is in the Colorado mountains, contaminated by heavy metals. That's gonna work. So apparently they believe that Anne Frank, you know, the Jewish person who was held up in an attic in Nazi Germany and eventually got executed by the Nazis, only ever got to live her life as a child in fear, and ultimately was executed by the state that should have been doing everything in its power to protect her, but instead went full authoritarian and started committing genocide on her people. According to these people, and I use that term loosely because I don't want to create an us versus them, she's a colonizer. Now, what happens when you're an organization that will engage in effectively removal of people from their homes? Types of genocide, mind you. Because at what point are you going to be at what point are you going to be able to liberate all the land from colonizers without engaging in some kind of cleansing, mind you? That will naturally have to engage in doing the same with Jewish people. Because of course they needed more enemies besides neo-Nazis. They needed tanky LARPers trying to use worker force language to argue that progressives have blood on their hands. Now, let's look at the first part of the tweet. They bought 200 acres of land for colonized people only. Colonized people only, huh? Well, if your colonized people happen to be largely of a similar ethnicity, and you will not allow people of other ethnicities, because you're calling them colonizers, into your state that you're creating. What would we call that, guys? I'm just curious in the chat. Please tell me, what would we call a section of land set out to be self-governed, effectively its own state, that only allows one ethnic group, or even a small grouping of ethnic people. It does not allow a very particular set of ethnic groups in. What kind of word do we have for that? I'm sure that there's a word for a ethnically centralized state. Yeah, no, we got it in the chat already. That's an ethnostate. You know, that thing Nazi Germany was trying to do? That thing that they were pushing everybody out for? They're creating an ethnostate. This is the thing the conservatives were upset about. I still want to say that, for the most part, their anti-racism genocidal boogeyman does not exist. But then I see shit like this, and I have to wonder, how many more people are there like this? DJ has a link for us. From Chief Ghazi. Is a post from Ghazi. Back to the oven they go. With a middle finger and a Jewish flag. I don't know what more to say. This is a racist leader, and of course, we'll look at the video one more time. Of course, I don't know about the doxing situation. Doxing is bad in any case. I'll say that right now in case somebody's like, you didn't talk about the doxing! Let's go ahead and look at this. Ghazi. What was the group that was having issues with you again?
Hello, Antifa.
What was that group again, Ghazi?
Hello, Antifa.
Oh! So you mean the genocidal ethno-fascist upset Antifa of all people? Of all groupings of individuals with somewhat consistent-ish ideology, maybe. You got Antifa against you. Well, as somebody who also considers himself Antifa, because I agree with the idea of anti-fascism, and I agree with anti-fascist action. Fuck you, Ghazi. 110% fuck you. So, how about we don't engage in effective genocide, removing people from places that they own? Because if you want to dial back the clock of history, you will be able to find a legion of oppressors and oppressed people. The further you go back, the more you will find. We live in the here and now. Let's help those who need it. I agree with that 110%, but I don't agree with this. And I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. And I most certainly don't agree with this. In any way, shape, and form. If you do not think that the Black Hammer organization is trying to create an ethnostate, we literally have all the evidence right here. Talking about you, Bad Empanada. As always, everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. That call-out was very intentional. And also, thank you all for watching. If you want to support my work and what I do, please consider checking the links in the description. Consider checking me out on Patreon. Consider hopping in the Discord, having a conversation. And also, as always, everyone, please insert end of video tagline here.